I'm Rachel Killian from the Attleboro Historical Commission, and together with my partner in crime, Blake Reynolds, we put together tonight's program, but of course we have our commission that helps us and got us started. So this is our 23rd Annual Historic Preservation Awards. We've actually been doing them for 26 years, but we took a little hiatus during COVID, and then we scrunched them all into one program afterwards. So we got ourselves caught back up for the 23rd, but 26th honoring of people. So if you are willing and able, if you wouldn't mind joining me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So each year, we ask an Attleboro High School senior to start us off by reading the mayor's proclamation. And I emailed over to Rob Westwater, who's the head of the Social Studies Department, for a student that loved history to be the person to read it. And he said the one that stood out this year was Carissa. So just a little bit about Carissa before she comes up to read the proclamation. She's a member of the Career in Tech Ed program in digital media production. She's an anchor for the school news, the Blue Pride TV. As well as loving history, she has a deep affinity for all things art, from drawing and painting to filmmaking and writing stories. In the fall, Carissa will be attending Wheaton College, where she was accepted into their honors program and will be pursuing a degree in visual arts. So good luck and thank you for coming.
Proclamation, Historic Preservation Month, May 2025. Whereas National Historic Preservation Month 2025 is co-sponsored by the National Trust for Historic Preservation and local organizations such as the Attleboro Historical Commission. And whereas preservation and rehabilitation have contributed to the social and economic well-being of our cities and towns by increasing the tax base, decreasing crime, and providing additional housing opportunities for low and moderate income households. And whereas preservation makes good financial sense as it creates opportunities for private investment in historic districts and neighborhoods, as well as enhancing public investment in streets, squares, parks, and playgrounds. Now, therefore, I, Kathleen D. Simone, Mayor of the City of Attleboro, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2025 to be Historic Preservation Month in the City of Attleboro, and call upon all citizens to recognize the importance of preserving and rehabilitating our public and private buildings and homes for the future of our city. Signed and sealed this first day of May in the year 2025 by Kathleen D. Simone, Mayor.
Before we start the awards, I just want to introduce the other members of the commission that are here with us tonight. So besides myself and Blake, we have Marion Wrightington, Betty Fuller, let's see who else we have, Jerry Turcott, I need the long distance, Jerry Raposa, Brian Ludwig. We have two guests that are with us regularly. We've got Ann Fanning and Cindy O'Connell. And finally, oh, Laura, wait, Wheeler, I missed Laura. Sorry, Laura, I didn't see you sneak in. And then finally, sorry, we have our new chair, Brian French, who's going to say a few words before we move on to the awards.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming. I want to say up front, as Rachel mentioned, this has been going on for about a quarter century now. Started in 1999. And just want to say thank you to Marion Wrightington for all her decades of spearheading the program of formal recognition of historic preservation, which is so important. And of course, thank you to Blake and Rachel for picking that mantle up in the last couple of years. You've been running support of this program and organizing tonight's event. The commission is made up of 14 members, a number of whom Rachel just introduced. And they are all volunteers. Their remuneration is the intrinsic satisfaction of giving back to their community. And they're your friends, they're your neighbors, you see them on the street. One thing we'd like to know is if you see an act of historic preservation, we may not, even those 14 of us, we may not see everything in a city as extensive as Attleboro. So reach out to those people and say, hey, I saw this project. If you don't know them, we're on the website, city website. I think you go under boards and commissions, I believe, and you'll find us a couple levels down. There's contact information there. So I would strongly suggest anyone to let us know about that. And of course, a special thank you to all the award recipients tonight, each of whom has made a unique contribution to our shared goal of preserving our city's history. Their efforts continue to maintain the charm and uniqueness that makes Attleboro special, and enhances our quality of life and makes Attleboro more attractive as a destination worth visiting. So anyway, each of these projects is a win for the ongoing preservation effort in Attleboro. Thank you very much for all your efforts. Thank you, Rachel and Claire.
So before I begin, I just want to, it's always a little awkward. These are the 2024 Preservation Awards because we wait for the year to finish before we then recognize the people who have done all their good work during the year of 2024, even though we're now in 2025, and that always kind of confuses people a little bit. Before each recipient is called up, I'm just going to say a few words about them, their project, and why they're being honored tonight. So if you could bear with me while I read through some of this. We're going to start off with our first award, which is for Banfield Capron, and a name I think a lot of people recognize from town, for donating the Capron family memorabilia and artifacts that are now on display at Capron Park Casino Building. That's the Parks and Forestry's office. Banfield couldn't be here because he lives in Texas, and on behalf of him, Marion Wrightington is going to accept the award. Before Marion comes up to accept the award, I want to say a few things that Marion and Derek Corsi of Parks and Forestry really deserve an honorable mention for this award as well, even though we're giving it to Banfield. Marion's been in contact for many years with Banfield Capron, who's named in honor of his Attleboro ancestor, and through their mutual Capron connections, she's maintained this friendship and fostered a relationship that let Banfield know that his family roots and name are still important to the city of Attleboro. The Capron artifacts on display tell a story of the local family, Civil War soldiers, dignitaries, as well as their global travels, including a large collection of items from Horace Capron, who lived and worked in Japan in 1870. The land for Capron Park was donated in 1901 by the children of Dennis Capron in memory of their father. Dennis is the great-great-grandson of the original Banfield Capron, for whom our award recipient is named for, who came here in the late 1800s with his rather large family. When he died at age 92, around 1752, he had enough land in Attleboro to leave each of those children 200 acres. The casino building at the corner of County and Dennis Streets is named for Dennis Capron. It was the first permanent structure built in the park in 1902 and served as the refreshment stand. Later in the 1950s, it was renovated to be the Attleboro Museum, which promoted artistic, scientific, and historical interests. In 1992, the museum moved to its current location on Park Street, the Arts Museum, and shortly after, the Parks and Forestry moved in. So the shelving for the museum created the perfect location for our exhibit in the entrance of the Parks and Forestry offices. Mr. Capron generously drove to Attleboro from Texas to drop the artifacts off himself, and then Marion single-handedly planned and installed the exhibit in the casino. She could not have done this without the help and support of Derek Corsi. He and his team cleaned and painted the gallery so that the exhibit would have a home. Perhaps you saw the great article that George Rhodes did in January in the Sun Chronicle. The artifacts are on long-term loan from the Attleboro Historic Preservation Society, and the public is welcome to view the exhibit during the Parks and Forestry office hours, which are Monday through Friday, 7 to 3 p.m. Whew. All right, Marion, come on up. Each recipient is welcome to say a few words. You don't have to if you don't want to. You can just take your things and have a seat.
Well,
But we know that Marion
I had
is
planned
not
on
shy.
saying a few things
Oops,
about
sorry.
Banfield, but you
I
just said
stole
them
your
all.
act.
It's my pleasure to accept this award. Banfield was 89 years old when he and a friend of his decided to drive all the way from Dallas, Texas, to bring these artifacts to Attleboro. So I'm trying to decide what you've already said and what I didn't. Oh, okay. He didn't trust shipping them, so that's why they had to drive them all here. If you were to put 8 greats in front of grandfather, Banfield's 8 greats grandfather was the first capron that came to America that Rachel already mentioned, and he had 12 children, and that's why we have so many caprons all over the place now. But they all came from here. And I was going to tell the story of one. Horace Capron, born in 1804, was Commissioner of the United States Agriculture, and President Jefferson, back then, sent him to Japan to help Japan with their agriculture. And he did a great job, and they erected an 8-foot-high statue of Horace Capron that is still standing in Japan today. It's crazy. And there's a picture of it at the display in Capron Park. So, all the caprons helped Attleboro grow, but please go and visit the display. Like she said, it's in the Parks and Forestry building. They're open Monday through Friday, 7 to 3. And I want you to know that Banfield in Dallas is very proud of his heritage, and he's happy to share this with us. And he thanks you very, very much. Is there something else? No.
Well, we decided.
Okay.
All right, our next recipient is Gary Demers for his work at 200 North Main Street for his renovation and restoration of the Willard Blackington Homestead, also known now as Blackington Village. I've said it before and I'll say it again, we are happy to give awards to the same people who continually work to preserve and protect the history of Attleboro. And according to my records, this is Gary's number 5 award. So in addition to assisting on other projects. So this year, Gary's award is for his restoration and renovation of the Blackington Homestead. And many in town recognize the name Colonel Blackington, but they often associate it with the restaurant and inn across the street. What most don't realize is that the restaurant was not his home. That's the home he built for 2 of his sons. Colonel Blackington's house is across the street at 200 North Main, now Gary's house. Now known as Blackington Village. In 1978, the property and its surrounding pond, park, and the house across the street were all listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The Demers are only the 3rd family to own the house. So in 1827, the property was the location for the factory for Colonel Blackington, where he produced shuttles for the cotton loom so important to the region's textile mills, like another one of Gary's properties, Dodgeville Mill. Later in 1849, Blackington built this classic Greek Revival-style home that's there today. His colonel rank, just so you know, is more of an honorarium for his work in the militia and not really a service indicator. The Blackingtons sold the property to the Nerney family in 1882, where 3 generations of the family lived and worked. The Nerneys built subsequent additions to the rear of the house to accommodate their factory and business, the Nobby Crafter. In 2019, Gary purchased the property and began the restoration and redevelopment of the property. The care of his work is evident on the exterior of the building. Repairs and painting have accentuated the original trim, windows, and the attached historic buildings. His care does not end in the outside. If you have a chance to visit the shops and businesses on the interior, they also show the same level of care to the historical detail. The Historical Society was honored to have their annual holiday party in the building last year, and we really broke it in. So
That's for sure.
yeah. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you. I would just like to thank the commission for the award and acknowledgement of these historic elements in our city that is ongoing for the 25 years. Once these little slices of history are removed, they don't come back. So I feel honored to have this recognition again, because I feel very committed to our history in Attleboro and to maintaining our identity as the city is growing. And it's so easy to lose elements that define us and our great history of citizenship and the community that has been built on the backs of many before us. So my efforts are to acknowledge that these were treasures and landmarks in the city that defined the city's growth. So it's a pleasure to have these facilities and to develop them and really just kind of embellish what they've already done. I really try not to change them, and I would encourage that paint is not a everlasting thing, but when you have rhino paint, it's a lifetime guarantee. So all my properties are now rhino painted, so I don't have to paint them in 15 years if I'm lucky. And they would come back and just touch them up. So they'll look that great in the future as they age with me. So it's an honor to receive this award again, recognizing our properties that, you know, are really just great welcoming properties to people coming to the city to visit, people coming here to live. And as the city evolves into this long-awaited growth spurt it's experiencing, this is very important that we don't lose our identity. Thank you very much.
Our next recipient is Andrea Dion Purdy for her house at 25 Lincoln Avenue for her maintenance and upkeep of her beautiful home. So this beautifully maintained Tudor Revival style cottage is located in a section of town off North Main Street, affectionately referred to as Mortgage Hill. As the city grew denser around its central core, single-family residential developments like this one were laid out to accommodate the growing population on our former agricultural lands. In 1929, Thomas Fuller and Victor Barrowman, prolific contractors in town, filed a plan to develop the land known as Barrowman's Terrace, laying out Lincoln Street and the cross streets of Prince and Roosevelt. Nearby Payson Street had already been laid out in 1912. In the lot deeds of the Barrowman's Terrace, it was explicitly conveyed that, quote, the premise are to be used solely for residential and not for manufacturing, mercantile, or business purposes, that no dwelling house of 3-flat or 3-decker kind, or for more than 2 families, or costing less than $6,000, shall be erected or maintained thereon. Now, in 1929, 6,000 was a lot, and this clause was to end in 1955. And it was clear that they wanted to maintain single-family homes of a certain quality. In addition, in 1925, the Attleboro Chamber of Commerce had started sponsoring the building of modest homes, quote unquote, and mortgages to construct the houses on what would be called Mortgage Hill. William Hanna purchased the lot from Fuller and Barrowman in 1929, but does not appear to have built a house there. In 1931, he sold the property to Vina and Nicholas Whalen, who purchased the lot and built their home. In 1958, they also bought the adjoining lot on Prince Street. Coincidentally, the Whalen family, Nicholas, owned N.D. Whalen and Company, a manufacturer of metal beads and findings. It was located at 54 Union Street, the Ingraham Building, which is another one of our honorees tonight. Their daughter, Virginia, and her husband, Raymond Petrie, continued to live in the family house until 1982, when it was finally purchased by Andrea and her husband, David. The steep-pitched and asymmetrical curve of the roof stands out against its neighbors, and the new deep-tone blue-gray paint and white trim accentuate the home's classic Tudor Revival features. And now that it's spring, you'll see Andrea's beautiful garden starting to bloom because she also has quite the green thumb. So, Andrea, thank you so much for your work on your home.
I'm not good in front of crowds. I would just like to thank the commission very much for this award. I very much appreciate it.
All right, these guys might win for our most people coming to accept an award for tonight. So our next award is for Corey Rugg and the AHS Robotics and Automation Technology students for cleaning up the historical cemeteries in Attleboro. So the Attleboro Historical Commission is steward to 6 of the city's historic cemeteries. Over the years, we've worked with civics groups, Boy Scouts, individuals have all helped us keep and maintain them clean. Last year, we began working with Corey and his wife and the students from AHS program. Their enthusiasm and motivation of this group has been inspiring. Their youthful energy and Corey's tools literally powered through the cleanups. Corey and his students have now cleaned 4 of our historic cemeteries and have offered to continue working with us in this coming year. So we look forward to working with the group and maybe teaching about some of the people who are buried in them as we have a little more time and a little less cleanup. All right, thank you so much. Come on up, guys, don't be shy. Show everybody who's doing all this work.
Everybody get one up here, so I'll let you do it then. How you doing, Heidi? All right. Thank you. I'd just like to say we're very honored to accept this award from the commission. We've had a great time cleaning up the burial sites and making them look much better for the community. I'd just like to introduce the rest of the team. To my left here first is Zinyu Lee. He's a senior graduating this year. He'll be headed to UMass Amherst. Next to him, Jeremy DeAguilar, also a senior, graduating this year, and he's headed to Massachusetts College of Pharmacy.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? Jeremy read our proclamation for us last year. If you recognize him.
Next to him is Braden Ruprecht. He's also a senior. He'll be leaving for WPI this year. Sort of hiding in behind there is my wife, Rosemary. She's been instrumental in helping us get this all done. Also works at the high school. Next to her is Jonathan Aguiar Medina. Sorry if I messed that up. Jonathan is a junior. He'll be coming back next year in the Robotics and Automation program, and he'll be one of the leaders of the cleanup crew next year. Next to him is Sam Devison, also a junior, coming back to Robotics and Automation program, and he'll be another one of the leaders helping us with this project. And next to him, we have Clyde Dosas Paris. All right, good. Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I've known him for a couple of years, and I still. Also a senior graduating this year. Not sure where you're landed. Bridgewater. Okay. So this is the meat of the team that's been doing this project, and we plan to continue on taking care of these burial sites for the commission. Thank you very much for the award. All right, guys. Thank you. What's that?
Thank you so much for all your hard work.
Thank you.
All right. Our next award is for the Attleboro Arts Museum. They had an exhibit, A Contemporary Narrative, Impressions of Civil War Memorabilia from the Attleboro Arts Museum Permanent Collection, which utilized historic artifacts from the Horton Collection. And accepting on their behalf will be Mim Fawcett, who is the executive director at the Attleboro Arts Museum. So Everett S. Horton was a jewelry manufacturer born in Attleboro in 1836, but he sold his business to join the Union Army in 1862. He received 7 commissions during his service, and in 1864, he was promoted to major. That same year, he was captured and spent 5 months as a prisoner of war in the infamous Libby Prison in Andersonville, Georgia. In 1865, he was released and returned to fight with his regiment. At the end of the war, He returned back to his hometown Attleboro and again began working in manufacturing, as well as a career in politics and other civic endeavors. He died in 1911, just shy of his 75th birthday. In about 1929, early on in the incorporation of the Attleboro Arts Museum, a large collection of items from Major Horton was donated by his daughter, Gertrude Horton Kendall. Many of the items were acquired during his time serving in the Civil War. Artifacts from part of his collection were used to inspire Black visual artists for the museum's February 2024 exhibit, A Contemporary Narrative, Impressions of Civil War Memorabilia from the Attleboro Arts Museum Permanent Collection. The resulting art was an interpretation of a Civil War artifact created in each artist's personal style and medium. The memorabilia was displayed juxtaposed next to the works of arts that was inspired by 9 visual artists. The resulting exhibit was a powerful combination of history and art. Mim?
Thank you so much. Like Marion, you kind of scooped a bit of my speech. Nevertheless, I will share a little bit more, a little enrichment. So the Attleboro Arts Museum annually mounts an exhibition featuring selections from its permanent collection. And the themes of the exhibit and works of art change each year and have, for example, explored jewelry designs prepared for local manufacturers and American paintings from the late 1800s depicting land and sea. In 2024, as mentioned, historic objects gifted to the museum from the estate of Major Horton were featured. And the Civil War items, the memorabilia, are a unique segment of the museum's permanent collection, as it's the last remaining component of the early days of the museum's collection, when it included items of historical interest along with works of visual art. Let's see. So I have a passion for history and a passion for the Civil War, and those items that we have in our permanent collection are of particular interest to me, and as some of you may know, 2 of my 3 children, my twins, are named Grant and Jackson. Unlike their namesakes, they've never been on opposing sides other than in utero. So back to Major Horton. After the war, he returned to Attleboro, where he became a partner in Horton Angel Jewelry Company, chairman of the Attleboro Board of Selectmen, served in both the Massachusetts House of Representatives and Senate, and was one of the founders of the Attleboro Public Library. The exhibition, A Contemporary Narrative, as mentioned, it married selections from Horton's wartime artifacts with contemporary work of art created by an invited Black visual artist. It was on view in February 2024 and honored Black History Month and its theme that year, which was African Americans and the Arts. Let's see. After viewing a segment of the Horton collection, the artist chose objects to interpret in their personal style and medium, and each piece was accompanied by a statement from the artist outlining the concept behind their work and how the permanent collection piece inspired their visual response. This was an interesting project for me, as it was, I wanted to honor the artists and honor their impressions of looking at Civil War items, and I was really struck by how joyous a number of the interpretations were. Where we were looking at quite profound imagery and quite profound objects. The artist decided to honor those objects with works of art that were looking ahead. The model for this exhibit was developed to embrace historical artifacts, bring them over to today, and to see how creative individuals interpret highly meaningful objects of the past. I want to thank the Commission for recognizing the essence of this exhibition and for this great honor. Thank you.
Thanks, Vim. All right, our next recipient is the Tiffany School condos. They're at 366 Thatcher Street for their Tiffany School display honoring the history of the school and its namesake, Joseph Tiffany. With the growth of the Lonacut neighborhood near Thatcher and County Streets, it became expensive to transport the children to the farther away schools in the city, and it became clear a new school was needed in the area. Olston M. Higgins was hired as the architect. He had previously designed the city's YMCA, the South Main Street Fire Station. He would later design the addition onto Richardson School. He also designed Blake's House, just to name a few in the city. A plan was formed to construct an 8-room schoolhouse, but they would open 4 rooms to start and then later finish off the remaining 4. So the Joseph O. Tiffany School, named for a former Attleboro teacher and school superintendent, was opened on January 13th, 1913, with just those 4 operational rooms. By September 1916, all 8 rooms in the school were fully finished and occupied. Unfortunately, 60 years later, the school department began discussing the closure of several of the smaller, older schools in the city. And in 1980, the school was closed, and in 1982, it was sold into private hands. In 1984, the 8 classrooms and basement were converted into 12 condominium units by the Thatcher Corporation. Ann Fanning and Erin Morrissey, who are on the Condo Association board, own several of the units in the building, and last year they contacted the Historical Commission for information because they wanted to exhibit historical school memorabilia in the condo's foyer. Ann and Erin graciously showed us around the building and grounds, and we supplied historical images and documents for them. They took the information and they enlarged and framed the items. In addition, a bronze plaque of J.O. Tiffany that once hung at the County Street High School is on long-term loan from the Historical Society as part of the display. The building is the perfect place to display the plaque of its namesake. And Erin and some other board members are here to accept their award tonight.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Sorry, tripping over myself. So much.
You're very welcome. Hope they came out.
Come on, let's go over here.
Don't be shy.
I am. No, but I'm not really. We want to thank everybody, Marion, Rachel, Brian, for doing the tour of the building and giving us all the photos that you did so that we could enlarge them and display them in the foyer of the old school. You also gave us that beautiful plaque, which weighs a ton, I will tell you. It's very heavy, and that is now displayed also, along with a little information about Mr. Tiffany. You know, it's funny because I look at the city and they're selling some of the old schools. You could look at County Street, they're selling the old high school. Fortunately, they are preserving the front of that. And I think there's 2 more schools that I think are being sold, and the Finberg. So hopefully somebody will buy them and do the work that they did at the Tiffany School. Russell has been there, how long have you been there?
Since 2017.
So you've been there a long time. Beta is new, and Erin and I are, I think I'm 2017 also. But when you walk in, I had a workman there, and he said, when he was working in my unit, he said, "This was my 2nd grade classroom." And I was like, "Really?" He said, "Yes." But it was very interesting, all the photos that you showed us about how the girls went in one way, the boys went in the other way. And it was quite a wonderful introduction to us that we didn't know about the building.
It's ironic because 2 of my aunts actually went to the school as well. So I'm probably living in one of their old classrooms.
You probably are.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you.
You want to say anything about that? No. But I want to thank you very much.
Alrighty. Here we go. All right, our next award recipient is the Jewel and Lee Properties for their adaptive reuse of the Ingraham and Varrier Buildings at the corner of Union and Dunham Streets. Accepting is Jonathan Cousins, the CEO and president of Lee Properties. So on Union Street, it's the 5-story brick Ingraham building, and it's located at the corner of Union and Dunham, and it was erected in 1908 by architect Albert S. Ingraham for his business. The Ingraham Company, which produced chemicals, paints, varnishes, and electroplating supplies for the jewelry industries in town. Throughout the first decades of the 20th century, the building was occupied by some of Attleboro's most prominent jewelry firms, including the Richards Manufacturing Company, H.A. Allen and Company, and E.D. Gilmore and Company, and now we know N.D. Whalen and Company, and Andrea's house, the owners of Andrea's house. The adjacent and now adjoining Varrier Building on Dunham Street was constructed in 1931, built and likely designed by Joseph Varrier. Like many of the buildings in the neighborhood, it housed jewelry manufacturing and related industries over the years. Ideal plating and plastic craft novelty are just few of its long-term residents. The buildings were not historically associated with one another, but have more recently came under the ownership of the single owner in 1986 before they were conjoined into the residential units they are today. The buildings are both distinctive and well-preserved examples of brick manufacturing buildings that characterized Attleboro's industrial period after the fire of 1898, when a lot of the buildings in the central part of town burned down. The buildings demonstrate the evolution of architectural engineering techniques and the solutions of basic industrial requirements, including fire prevention, improved lighting, and the efficient use of space. In addition to renovating these two industrial buildings into 43 residential units, the company has also written a National Register nomination form for a jewelry district that is currently under review. The district includes 8 contributing buildings in the area along Union Street that represent the heart of downtown Attleboro's jewelry manufacturing industries. And here to accept is Jonathan Cousins.
All right. Well, I want to thank the commission for the award. It's been a very long journey. We actually started this in 2018, believe it or not. There are a lot of issues with the building, environmental, and many other challenges. It is 2 different buildings, but there's basically 4 different structures that were kind of combined together. So incredibly difficult for this building to put this building together. But we're very proud of what we've done, and we're glad to see this building remain, the way it is now with apartments for hopefully the next many decades. We appreciate the preservation work the commission is doing as well. I've seen in Massachusetts and throughout New England, I've seen many, many mills torn down, fall down, burn down. It's actually very sad to see all over the state and New England not enough work put into these projects that are very doable. They are very doable. They're very challenging financially, but they are very doable if the right tools were in place. So we're just happy to save one of many, many buildings that have not fallen down so far, and we hope the next many years we can do the same. Thank you.
All right, our final award is to Prime Storage. They're over on 34 Forest Street for their adaptive reuse of the General Plate Company factory building. I'm not sure if Amaris is here. I'm not sure. Oh, they came. All right, sorry guys, I didn't see you earlier. All right, awesome. So the original owner of 34 Forest Street was General Plate Company, which was founded in 1916 by Rathbun Willard. It's not just a street name, it's a person. Originally, his company was started in the basement of the old Bigney building at the corner of County and Wall Streets, where they manufactured gold plate for the local jewelry industries. Outgrowing this location in 1925, Willard decided to move from the small quarters and purchase land known as the Cat-O'-Nine Tail Swamp off of Pleasant Street. In 1926, General Plate moved into its new building on Forest Street. The new 2-story Art Deco style building was constructed of brick with a streamlined form and with a squared-off clock tower. General Plate later changed its name to Metals and Controls, and it's this company that later merged with Texas Instruments in 1953. Today, this large industrial complex includes Bristol Community College, a Bridgewater State University Extension campus, as well as numerous other businesses, and more recently, Prime Storage. While the interior of the factory has been converted into storage units, the exterior of the building has been cleaned and repointed, new windows matching the existing industrial black frame windows, and the new entrance complement the building's historic construction. I want to thank you for your work on the building.
It is an honor to accept the Historical Preservation Award on behalf of Prime Storage. At Prime, we believe that a site does not need to be leveled, but to be developed. It is important to us to preserve the history of the communities that we operate in whatever way possible, and the project is a great example of that. It's incredible that the building that is now Prime Storage Attleboro was once home of the General Plate Company back in 1916. And I appreciate you guys having us here, and thank you to the Attleboro Historical Commissions for this recognition.
We do have posters up front. We have a few more of our Studley histories. If anybody in the crowd is interested or didn't get one at first, we would love to not go home with those and love to send you home with them. So if you didn't get one when you accepted your award, you are definitely welcome to them. I really want to just thank everybody for coming tonight. We had a really full crowd, which is always nice to see. And I just really wanted, from the bottom of our hearts, how much everybody does to preserve the history in the city is just joyous to see. We do have some cookies and punch, and then around the perimeter is a gallery of our previous year's awards, so you can take a look at some of the other buildings and people who have accepted awards in the past. And we thank everybody for coming tonight.